welcome into the CHGO White Sox postgame show presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson. Thank you. Yeah,
He's been practicing all night.
I was standing in the mirror and just going, Studio A, West Loop, Chicago. Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. I'm the host of the CHGO White Sox postgame show. We have the full CHGO White Sox crew. This is Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. And joining us live from Kansas City, is it the Kansas side or the Missouri side?
Missouri side, of course. No one stays on the Kansas side.
Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Actonwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. Hello, Herb. It's good to see you.
It's good to see you guys, too. It's awesome to be here in Kansas City, but the White Sox didn't show up tonight, so hopefully they'll arrive tomorrow. Be good to see the actual White Sox perform, because I did see them on Sunday while I was leaving Cincinnati, but I don't know if they have arrived as yet. So if you can go and send the APP out for them, it'll be much appreciated.
Just took the piss out of it by saying they lost. Josh
Sorry,
said there's going to be a very long pause. Not really. I mean, they've been winning. The whole bit is when they're on a losing streak, we're going to extend the pause. But we're coming to you live after a White Sox loss, and it was 12-5. It was 4-4 going into the sixth. So they played okay ball through about sixth innings.
Going into the bottom of the sixth, yeah.
And then Herb, the White Sox pitching in the sixth inning actually made Amir Garrett puke. How was that, watching that live?
It was very weird because during that whole thing, the home plate umpire threw out somebody in the White Sox dugout. I don't know who. It wasn't Pedro, because Pedro came out to talk to him and say, "Why'd you throw my man's out?" And then
it was Andrew Benintendi, Herb.
Oh, Benny. Wow. Yeah. Andrew Benintendi. That's weird. But then I zoomed back out and then saw Amir Garrett throw up immediately after I zoomed back out to him. I was like, ooh, yeah, White Sox baseball, bad for everybody involved, even if you're on the winning side of it.
It was gross.
It was nasty.
I mean, I hope he's feeling okay, because that didn't look very good. But more than anything, maybe they shouldn't have had the camera so zoomed in on him as he was about to, lose it there. So
that's good TV, in my opinion.
Not for everybody.
Nah, come on. I mean, why not? I mean, he had a little bit of a and then I was like, oh, he's about to puke, and then he puked. I don't know. I mean, that's a human experience. It's something that Amir Garrett's going to remember forever. I don't know how many times he's thrown up on the mound or behind the mound. So hey, there's a time for everything.
Herb, I'm sure your tour through Kansas City this week will take you to some wonderful barbecue joints. Do not figure out which one Amir Garrett went to today and avoid that one.
Definitely, I'm going to call him up and see what's going on with that barbecue. But, yeah, I don't know if they cleaned up that area quite as well as I would have liked it to, because the next hitter, Adam Hazley, hit a ball literally right on that spot, and JBJ had to pick it up and throw it back in from center field, and I was like, oof, JBJ got a bad end of the stick. And then the pitcher grabbed the ball and licked his fingers. I was like, man, he's tasting whatever barbecue my man Amir was tasting too. So, just disgusting.
That would not have flown in the 2020 season.
No, it would not. They would have had to shave that grass. It's kind of like Monsters Inc. when the sock gets on that one guy. They'd have to shave that entire spot if that was COVID. But now it's no longer a thing.
You know the pandemic is over, I guess, when they just let somebody throw up on the field. Those we always laugh that nobody was observing the no spitting signs that they put up in the dugout. This is taking that kind of a step further.
We can stop with this conversation. That little anecdote from her being like, the guy looked the puke off the ball. I'm good.
But here's the thing, though, you've got to realize those guys are licking their hands, touching the ball all the time. Puke or no puke, that's not sanitary.
Oh, well, yeah, like birds. I mean, birds are probably using the grass as a bathroom. Yeah, that's natural. Yeah.
The balls are rubbed up
in Oakland. What was that?
The balls are rubbed up with mud all day before the game. They're rubbed up with special mud, and so they're just licking their fingers and going right back to the ball. So, just very unsanitary.
That's just of the earth, man. Who is that? Ron Swanson, Dwight Schrute said, "I want desanitization stations."
Yeah, that was Dwight Schrute.
Yeah, I want bowls of dirt so people are kind of exposing themselves. I mean, baseball players are just building up their immune system. White Sox lose 12-5. They went down 1-0 after a Salvi Perez sac fly. Then Hanser Alberto extended his RBI streak, made it 1-1 in the top of the second. Then Andrew Vaughn doubled in the top of the third and made it 3-1. And then there, I felt pretty good. Bottom of the fourth, Melendez hit a homer, made it 3-3. Salvi got on with a little bloop shot or a little
it was a shot
sneaker
down the baseline.
past Gav.
Yeah.
And then Vinny Pasquantino kind of opened it up, gave the Royals a lead 4-3 on a double. And then the top of six, Gavin Sheets hit a solo shot to make it 4-4 off Zach Greinke, and then Mike Massey hit a single off of Aaron Bummer, made it 5-4. JBJ went 3 for 3 in his first 3 at bats, made it 7-4. Melendez hit a single, made it 9-4. Prado hit a double, making it 12-4, and then Hanser Alberto, for good measure, 12-5 with an RBI single. Herb, what'd you make of the game? Just the back and forth, because again, going into the top of the sixth, I felt pretty good. After the top of the sixth, I felt pretty good because Gavin Sheets just hit that home run, 4-4. It's now the Royals bullpen versus Dylan Cease for probably an inning, and then the White Sox bullpen, and we know that they didn't use a ton of people in the Red Series, or at least the finale of the Red Series, because they won that game 17-4. So when did you start feeling a little bit iffy? I know some people are talking about Cease not being pulled early enough. I was fine with the leash, but I don't know what you made of it.
I mean, when he went back out for the sixth, I believe he was only at like 80-some pitches. So I knew that he struggled at that point. He had already given up 4 earned runs. And I was like, he's been struggling. It's a team like the Royals who don't really do a lot, even though he had just given up the home run to Melendez. I was like, all right, I'm fine with Pedro having him out there for the sixth. If he gets into any trouble, have somebody ready. That was the problem. No one was ready. It was like Pedro didn't watch the game that was happening before that inning happened. And Cease, after the guy was trying to bunt over the guys from first and second over to second and third, and Cease walked that guy, I think, in 4 straight pitches. He didn't have his control at all in that 6th inning. And that's when Pedro finally got the hook for Dylan Cease. I started feeling bad right in that inning where I was like, okay, if you're walking a guy who's I think was the 8th hitter and he's giving you an out, you're not on your game today. And that, I think, was his first walk, his only walk of the game. And so, yeah, Dylan Cease not being great, especially when he was given a 3-1 lead by the White Sox and then gave up that 2-run shot to MJ Melendez, kind of was a punch in the gut, because this is a team you get right on. All these hitters, there was really only a couple hitters that I was scared of. And that's mostly at the top of the order with Bobby Witt Jr. Maybe you get Vinny Pasquantino and, of course, Salvi Perez. But all the rest of them, no one's scared of them.
Yeah, you brought up the James Fegan tweet about the Royals, averaging under 4 runs a game. And, hey, you talked about the White Sox trying to have the Royals get right because, they're the Royals. Well, the Royals' schedule just got a lot easier because they went from playing the A's to play the White Sox. So,
got him.
Thank you.
You got him. Yeah, no, Herb, you're right. I mean, this was a team that the White Sox are supposed to beat. And listen, you're not going to beat them every single time, and maybe who knows after this is the outlier, and they go on and win the rest of the games of this week and most of the rest of the games they see them this year. But this is a bad team that came in doing nothing offensively, and it was White Sox pitching that got knocked around today. Dylan Cease was hit pretty well. They didn't really have any trouble hitting him. Didn't walk anybody until, I believe, that last batter he faced. But the strikeouts were not there early. They were on him, and they took advantage. They scored runs. Dylan Cease has only had two quality starts this year. That's, I believe, his 8th start today. Only 2 of those were quality starts, and one of those was that season opener in Houston. This is not the guy that pitched that night in Houston, certainly not tonight, and for really the most part this season. No walks that night, and the walks have kind of been an issue in most of the other games, not the case tonight. But, Sean, you were saying it earlier, it's like, okay, well, sure, he didn't walk many guys, but he gives up all these hits. What balance is it going to be in there? You got to get it to the point where both of those numbers are low, and I can tell you right now, the reasoning that Pedro had in having confidence that Cease is going to get out of that 6th inning is that, look at last year. He did it. How many times did he do it last year? This is a guy who was one of the best pitchers in baseball last year. It's only been about a month, so I don't think it's, it's certainly not crazy to say that he can be that guy again by the end of this year, but you're looking at a guy whose ERA is well over 5, and, that's just a lot of runs given up tonight.
Yeah, it's not crazy to say that guy will come back, and I'm honestly positive that he will come back. So don't worry about Dylan. And I don't know if it's the Ethan Katz thing. The bummer stuff we'll talk a little bit about later. But I think Dylan will be fine. We'll have some stats in a second. But I mean, he truly should have gotten out of that inning. He just got done with Melendez, who hit the homer off of him. He ended the 5th, and then Olivares, who has a 255 average. I think he was 0 for 2 coming into the game, or coming into that plate appearance. Prado had a hit off of him. He's a pretty difficult at bat from the left side, but Garcia too. He was 0 for, and then Massey, who has reverse splits, does worse against righties. Dylan C should have been able to get out of that inning and should have been able to get to the 6th. I mean, there's really. I would have left him in. He's your ace.
It's the bottom of the Royals.
It's
the bottom of the Royals order.
Literally.
I don't care if it's Cease or Clevenger out there. If Clevenger's your quote unquote last guy in your rotation, it's the bottom of the order for one of the worst teams in baseball. You got to have confidence that every pitcher on your staff can go through that inning and not have what happened to the White Sox tonight, which is not only Cease not being able to get out of it, but Bummer not being able to get out of it as well, and Jimmy Lambert adding a big knock of his own for good measure there, I guess. But it was a very ugly performance in that one inning, and really overall when you take a look at Cease's whole day.
Yeah, and two, you bring up this quality start stat, him only having 2 quality starts so far. Do you know how many quality starts he had through his first 8 starts of last year?
Was it 2? That
7.
would be symmetrical.
It would be 2. It is symmetrical.
How about that?
April 27th, 6 innings, 2 earned runs against the Royals, and then May 2nd against the Angels, 7 innings, no earned runs, 11 Ks.
So that whole notion that maybe it takes the hitters some time to warm up with the temperatures. Maybe Dylan Cease is playing by similar rules there. He's a Southern boy.
Yeah.
Maybe he doesn't like pitching in April weather in Chicago any better than Jose Abreu liked hitting in it.
It wasn't as bad. Right now his ERA is 5.58, which is ugly through 8 games, but through 9 it was 4.24 last year. I'm not super concerned about him. We'll take a break. We'll talk about the stats from today. I know people were talking about pitch selection as well on Twitter, just why he was throwing so many fastballs. I think Fred brought up pitch velocity, so we'll go through all those dorky numbers for you a little bit later. Do want to let you know about Game Time, the fantastic app. Herb, have you used Game Time in either Cincy or Kansas City?
I've used it in both cities, Cincinnati on Saturday, and today with Game Time, I used it in Kansas City. Got some awesome seats right behind home plate.
Was it stress-free?
Very stress-free. It's $33 per seat. I could not believe it. I saw a season ticket holder who had his name on his seats. It was weird. Kansas City Royals really do some good things for their fans out here. But yeah, it was very stress-free. Literally took me 1 minute to find the deal, which was like 50% off, hit the button, and then put my credit card information in, had my seats in my account within 2 minutes.
Boom. Buying tickets to your favorite events shouldn't be stressful, like Herb just told you. Game Time is the fastest and easiest way to buy tickets for all sports, music, comedy, and theater near you. Vinny, the music part, I know you just got some music concert tickets.
I just used that
music
Game Time.
Concert tickets.
Yeah, I'm going to a music concert.
Music concert. That's good. That's
yes.
where they play music, right?
I used Game Time. I'm going to go see a rock and roll show.
Oh, look at you.
Come August down at the
In
Salt
Steubenville?
Shed. What's that?
In Steubenville?
Yes. I'm going to.
It's an old that thing you do concert joke.
There you go. I'll be going to the Salt Shed. Which have you been yet, Sean?
No, I have not.
No, I'm
Herb.
Herb, you been to the Salt Shed yet?
No, that sounds good. I think there's some good people playing there, though. I've seen lately. My guy Thundercat's gonna be playing there later on this year.
I'll be going to see Nathaniel Rateliff and the Night Sweats coming up in August, so that'll be a good show at the Salt Shed. And I used Game Time to get those tickets.
You'd think living with Salt or not salt sweats. That would be
Salt
different.
sweats?
Salt sweats.
We
Night
all
sweats.
get those.
You think you get some therapy to help those go away, but oh well. But snag your tickets without the stress with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code CHGO for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code CHGO for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. And again, it's not just sports; it's every single event, like Vinny and Herb just told you. Vinny, have you heard about ComEd?
Sean, I have.
Well, the
and
ComEd.
I'm going to have to get this out here.
Yeah, don't worry. I was going to tap dance a little
okay.
bit. Yeah, Vinny, have you heard about ComEd?
Yes.
Wow, the ComEd Energy Efficiency Program is committed to helping families and businesses in the communities they serve, helping manage energy usage and lower energy bills, not only now, but into the future.
I'm looking into the future, and I can see people with lower energy bills.
ComEd uniforms.
Sean, you're right. ComEd offers a wide variety of incentives on lighting and other efficiency upgrades to commercial, industrial, and public sector customers of all sizes across our wonderful territory. ComEd also offers free facility assessments that can help find energy-saving opportunities like those for HVAC systems, commercial kitchen equipment, or industrial processes.
Oh, it's my turn.
It is.
How does it work?
I'm glad you asked, Sean. An authorized engineer will work with you to develop a detailed assessment plan specific to your goals and needs. These can be done in person or virtually and last approximately 2 hours. Within 3 to 4 weeks, customers will receive a report detailing energy efficiency projects that they can start working on immediately. Very apropos Blackhawks reference there. Because tonight,
I'm gonna go get
big doings for the Blackhawks. Each recommendation will include estimated energy savings, cost savings, project cost, potential incentives, and simple payback. Oh, there he is. There's Eddie right there. Immediately. If you own a business, you out there, don't wait. So here's the Chicago Transit Authority. Get started saving money and energy today. For energy-saving tips, lighting incentives, or to schedule your free facility assessment, go to ComEd.com/poweringbiz.
Sorry to get distracted during that read. Oh, did you say ComEd.com/poweringbiz?
Sean, I did.
Wow.
So schedule it today.
And that's powering BIZ. I got distracted looking at the Salt Shed website. I might have to go to that Hold Steady show with the mountain goat, so that's going to be fun.
When's
that?
Look at
that. That's June 30th and July 1st.
Wow.
Folks.
I like the Hold Steady a lot.
Yeah, a little Japanese breakfast there as well. A lot of good shows. Herb mentioned Thundercat and three night sweat nights. Oh, two. A 2-day show. Huh. That's interesting.
That'll be fun.
Double header?
Yeah.
The Night Sweat's pulling a double header. All right. Ooh, the Pixies too. All right. Go to Game Time, folks. Anyways, let's get into Dylan Cease's numbers. Let's get into the stuff first. How are we labeling these again, Steven?
This is stuff and results. You got it.
This is stuff.
This is stuff.
All right. This is stuff.
Stuff.
Fred in the chat asked if Dylan's fastball velocity was down. No. On the year, it was sitting 95.5. Today it was at 96.4. He threw 48 fastballs out of 97 pitches, threw 38 sliders, 10 knuckle curves. A lot of people noticed just the fastball difference, again, throwing more fastballs than sliders. A big narrative that we talked about last year was that when Dylan was having his success, he was using his slider more, and we've seen slider percentage up around baseball more than ever. And there's only been 10 games since 2022 where he's thrown more fastballs than sliders. 30 games with more sliders than fastballs, 10 games with more fastballs than sliders, 40 games overall since 2020 pitched. And he's been a great pitcher regardless. In the 10 games where he's thrown more fastballs than sliders, he has a negative 14.3 run value. Per game, that's negative 1.43, so not allowing runs. And in the 30 starts that he's had, and this doesn't include tonight's stat because we don't have those numbers just yet. In the 30 starts that he had with more sliders and fastballs, negative 30.8 run value, that's a negative 1.02 run value per game. So he's actually better, quote unquote, when he throws more fastballs than sliders. But it wasn't effective tonight. Herb, what did you see in person from Dylan? Again, it did seem like he was frustrated, but the stuff, quote unquote, was still fine. It was actually better than it has been on the year.
Yeah, I thought that Dylan was better than I had seen him before up until the fifth inning. He was popping the mid at a high rate. using his outside fastball. And some of those hits that the Royals did get were, I think, either miscommunication with the defense or Gavin Sheets being really slow at first base, because there were a couple balls just straight down by Gavin Sheets that he was just missing, and the pitch was executed to perfection. One was the Salvi Perez one, which you can't do anything about. That man hit the ball pretty much where a left-handed batter will be standing, and he just like shot it down right field. So I thought he was fine up until that NJ Melendez home run. I don't know what the concentration was, and the weather was good. So we're talking about a southern weather. It was about 86 and nice and humid there. So if he was feeling like home, it kind of felt like that in early May here in Kansas City. So I didn't feel bad until that sixth inning came around, and I was like, okay, he's not focused, and he's not, finishing as the way I would see Dylan finishing a game. In the sixth inning, he knows he only has a couple more bullets left. He usually finished that stronger instead of weaker, and that's what he came out yesterday. So it was really not a complete game for Dylan Cease. A couple bloops there also for Dylan Cease. Unlucky. It's a big-ass field, so what can you do? But this is not the ace that we have seen in the past, Sean. And I know when you put up the actual results there, the swing and misses weren't there. The filthy stuff wasn't there. And I'm kind of getting worried that he is adjusting to the fastball more than the slider this year. Maybe he doesn't have the grip on the slider. I don't know if we can do more analysis on it, but it's just not as crisp as it was last year. And that is, want to happen, because that was the best pitch in baseball. To repeat that was probably really hard to do.
Yeah, we can go to the results here, Steven. 36% out of zone swing percent, so he was able to get some chases, but we saw at least earlier through the first time through the order, especially in Bobby Witt's first single of the game, they were able to kind of take that slider low and away for those right-handed hitters and kind of shoot it over through the right side between the second baseman and first baseman, and even Salvi was able to sneak it by Gavin over at first base. 92.3 average exit velocity on the balls that were put in play, the 17 balls that were put in play. So they hit him fairly decently. You kind of see the slider there, though, being put in play 6 times, average exit velocity of 87.8. And you see the swings and miss on the slider alone, 10 whiffs on 23 swings. That's a 43% whiff percent. That's great. And a called strike whiff percent on the slider at 34%. So again, it's just kind of like, hey, what was working last year was throwing the slider more. We don't see that. I don't know if it's a pitch selection thing exactly. I'm not worried about him. 12 whiffs on 50 swings. I think this is I don't know.
But it's the Royals, Sean.
It is the Royals for sure, and they make the reason why I don't know if I'm extremely worried about it is because obviously the Melendez that home run was the first mistake I would think that he made. I mean the Perez one was a bloop. Bobby Witt was just good hitting to get on in the first. Then he stole second.
That was bloop too. It was a bloop in the right field. The leadoff for Witt.
Was that a
yeah.
bloop? Oh, yeah, he shot it into right field. My bad on that. How the next guy got? It was first and second, right?
It was bloop city tonight
city
for both of these teams early.
And then, good hitting to drive him in. But that Melendez one was the first quote unquote mistake, but still it was an inside fastball that was like on the black. Like it's a good piece of hitting by Melendez. Like I just think like the Royals are a tough team for Dylan to face because he wants you to try to swing as hard as you can rather than soft contact. So I think the soft contact, bigger park kind of plays into it. I'm not extremely worried, though, because, again, like if he is able to find that comfortability with the slider, it's still a dominant pitch, and we're seeing the velocity go up on it. That's all that you really want to see is him throwing those sliders at like 89, 88, because he's just going to get swings and misses no matter what. So I don't know. I'm not concerned. I don't know about you, Vinny. But
I think the thing that jumps out is you don't have to be concerned about one game. Guys have bad games, a single bad game all the time. I think what you need to be concerned about at the moment with Cease is that there's just a lot of guys getting on base, and whether that's him doing that via the walk in other outings or tonight, like we mentioned, via the hits, it's kind of that story of Cease, not from last year when he was so good, but from the year before and even the year before that when it was just jam after jam after jam that he had to work out of. That's what you don't want to see become a habit for Dylan Cease if you're the White Sox. Now, this guy has done it before. Last year, he's had the tremendous success. There's no doubt, I don't think in anybody's mind, that it's possible that this can just be an early, kind of a bumpy road. But the White Sox were in a position here where they are looking at some real bad results, obviously, in the month of April, and we'll see if that continues into the month of May once the sample size gets a little bigger. If they dig themselves too deep of a hole, there's really no Cy Young caliber 4 months that Dylan Cease can have that can bail them out of it. Right now, he's helping, or he's contributing to the fact that they are not getting out of this hole, that they have already ended up in this hole. It's not like some of the games last year where he would give up 1 run in 8 innings and they'd still manage to lose. Mm-hmm. He has kind of been part of the problem, and I say that not to pile on to Dylan Cease, but just because basically everybody on this White Sox team has been part of the problem, and he is not immune from that category.
Something I want to do, too, before we get into bullpen stuff, if I had to ask you guys, for starting pitchers...
If you had to?
Well, I'm going to. For starting pitchers in the major leagues for 2023, the White Sox rank what for starting pitchers, for innings pitch for starting pitchers?
I would say the White Sox are 25th in the league.
25th.
I know it's been a problem for them personally, but I do have the opinion and that this is an early season problem for a lot of teams, especially coming out of spring training and kind of getting ramped up for the start of the season. I'll say it's a little bit more middle of the pack, but probably not too far from what Herb said. I'll Price is right him and say 24.
Steven, you want to...
I'm going 29th.
29th.
Yeah.
Okay, so 25, 24, 29. Wait, so you were going to go more middle of the pack, and you went from 25
like
to 20?
I said, I'm going to Price is right.
Price is right. Okay.
Yeah. I'll be closest regardless.
Fred says last. Alec in the chat says 28th.
Alex seems like he'd probably look that up.
He didn't because they're fourth.
Fourth in baseball.
Fourth in
They
baseball.
have the 4th most innings pitched by their starting rotation in all of baseball.
Fourth.
Ow.
I won.
People don't go
And we only
deep.
had like 2 guys go 7 innings this year?
People don't go deep in baseball.
It's true.
I mean, like...
And especially early in the season, like I said. Early in the season, even more so, I feel like.
Yeah, I was surprised by it too, but it's just like, the bullpen's got to be better. I mean, Jimmy Lambert and Aaron Bummer still had 5 earned runs in 1 inning. Like, it's disgusting. Like, I understand that, Dylan hasn't been good, but like, and you need a great start from one of these guys because you really haven't had a great start from any of them. But like, it's
him on opening night.
Yeah,
struck out 10 guys, right?
That's true. That's true. He struck out 10 guys. No, 8 guys. No, sorry, that was last year. That was against the Tigers. Still, like, I don't know. I mean, you haven't had. I mean, there's been 36 games.
Yeah, I mean,
Giolito's
had a couple really good ones too. I mean,
he went 7 innings against Tampa, but still, I don't know. I mean, like,
almost threw a no-hitter that one time.
That's true. They won that game 3-0. All right. I'll slow down. But I mean, I don't know. Like, what's the key for the White Sox turning this around? Like, it's just them playing better baseball. Like, it just that's it, right? I mean, like,
yes, but
we're just gonna say that until we're blue in the face.
Well, yeah, obviously that's how. You just basically asked me how do the White Sox stop being bad? They be good. That's how. Yeah. I mean,
like we're talking about a guy right now, Dylan Cease. He's only had 2 quality starts, but in the first 4 starts, he had an ERA of 2.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
It's pretty good. Yeah. 29 strikeouts and 22 in the third.
But
innings.
now it's 5.5.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, like, it just might be a blip. It's early for Dylan. Just large sample size, though. It's just like the White Sox have not found consistency at all. You have 17-4, and then you go back and lose by 7 runs. It's just, it's frustrating to watch.
As Uncle Ben said in Spider-Man, with great power comes great responsibility, and Dylan Cease has been given the ace role. And for an ace, 5 innings is never good enough, ever. And I don't care what you do within those 5 innings, you better go longer. I expect him to at least get to the 6th inning as the ace of this staff, and he hasn't as yet. Now, he has a lot of season to go, and I trust in the stuff. I trust in the player because I think the player doesn't get too distracted, too up or down. So I think he's got a solid base under him, and I still have faith in Ethan Katz, even though his pitchers are having a terrible time this year. So I believe I'm not too worried about Dylan Cease going forward for the long haul, but these last couple starts have given me a little pause on what he's doing in his preparation and what they're doing in the pitch selection, as you're talking about, Sean. He's got more fastballs than sliders this year. Last year, he was slider dominant, and he was dominant on the scoreboard too, and second in the Cy Young Award voting.
Yeah, and two, I mean, you look with the slider and the run value. We know that was he led baseball in run value for that pitch last year, and that was the best pitch in baseball according to run value. Through his first 8 or so starts, from April 9th to May 24th of last year, he was second in baseball with run value slider at negative 8.6. Right now he's 26, not including tonight, at negative 3.3. So it's still been an effective pitch. Maybe you just need to see more of it, and maybe that's an adjustment we'll see his next time out. We'll take a break here. We'll talk a little bullpen, and we'll talk a little bit about Eloy Jimenez and Pedro Grifol's comments today about his legs and what his plan might be when he returns. Want to let you know about Fubo TV. That's how we watch today's game. That's how we also watch the NHL draft lottery and Mario Tirabassi scream his little heart out. Oh my God.
It was loud.
I've never seen a man scream that much in my life. Congrats to the Blackhawks.
It was cool, though.
No, it was awesome.
Yeah, let's go.
No, just a good reason to scream. They have 140 live channels of sports, shows, movies, and news. You can stream live TV from any device, watch the most Chicago sports for the lowest price, and you can start watching immediately with a 7-day free trial. There's no contract, no cable, no hassle. Just sign up and start watching. There's 1,000 hours of cloud DVR included at no extra charge. You can watch local teams while traveling. There's no reason not to sign up at FuboTV.com/CHGO because there's the PGA Championship coming up, the French Open, the WNBA's on Fubo TV, the NHL Draft where the Blackhawks will be picking number 1 overall. There's the NHL and NBA playoffs and the White Sox on NBC Sports Chicago, and you can watch that with Fubo TV. Use the link in the description to sign up for 50% off your first month of Fubo Pro, FuboTV.com/CHGO. Also want to let you know about Shady Rays. Herb, were you wearing your Shady Rays out there in Kansas City?
I was wearing my Shady Rays out here in Kansas City. It was a very sunny, great day out here.
Look at that. Gear built to last to take on that sun. Our friends at Shady Rays have you covered for the warm weather ahead with premium polarized shades at an affordable price. Shady Rays is an independent sunglasses company that offers a world-class product that's just as good as any expensive pair we've worn. They have durable frames and extremely clear optics for outdoor adventures. And that's not all. Shady Rays offers the most insane protection program in all of eyewear. Every pair of sunglasses backed by lost and broken replacements. If you lose or break your pair, even on day one, they told us that they will send you a brand new pair. No questions asked. Wear your Shady Rays with confidence because they have your back long after your purchase. Hey, Herb, you can go chuck them just into the fountains at
Kauffman Stadium.
Kauffman Stadium, thank you. And they won't even ask you a question. They won't say, Herb, did you throw them into the Kauffman Stadium fountains? And they'll say, they won't actually ask you that because there's no questions asked. So there you go.
Exactly. I want 0 questions when I do it, Shady Rays. I might do it tomorrow. I might put it up to that and
film
see
it,
if I can go and get it.
Put it on Twitter and then tag them. And just be like, you didn't ask, you just said there was going to be no questions.
No, because then you're just being destructive. I don't want any witnesses about that. I don't want Shady Rays to go back on their promise. I'm just going to throw them in there and say, give me some new glasses, Shady Rays.
Herb doesn't even have to wait until he goes to the game tomorrow night because Kansas City is the city of fountains. He could probably just find one stumbling around on a sidewalk somewhere.
Is that the reason why the fountains are out there?
That is correct.
Wow. Have you seen a lot of fountains?
I have. And did you know their City Connect jerseys have the fountain little KC on it? Yeah,
I was thinking that was just because they had the fountains in the outfield, but I didn't. So are they private or public fountains?
Public in public spaces, a fountain like you see,
like
a statue kind of thing.
On a public fountain.
They've got a bunch of fountains. It's a city of fountains.
That's crazy. You know what's also crazy? Exclusively for our listeners, Shady Rays is giving out their best deal this season. Go to shadyrays.com and use code CHGO for 50% off 2+ pairs of polarized shades. Try for yourself. The shades rated 5 stars by over 250,000 people. Herb, let's talk a little bit about Aaron Bummer. Aaron Bummer was really good in his last time out. He had 1 inning pitched, faced 3 batters, struck all of them out, and had...
It was against the Twins.
Against the Twins. Had 7 strikes on 11 pitches, 5 swinging, 2 looking. He was pretty decent. However, his ERA now after today is well over 9.
It's over 10.
It's over. It's over 10.
Yes.
Look at that.
Yes, 1038.
1038.
1080. No, 1080. Even worse. Ugh.
The 1080p. Great resolution. What do the White Sox do about Bummer? I don't know. I'm just trying to do. What do we talk about?
See, this is the thing. This is the thing, Sean. Like, he's hit or miss when he comes in. He either gives up multiple runs, which he's done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times in his outings this year, or he shuts them down, gives up 0. There's no in between. Literally no in between. And you can't have that, especially since you've already DFA'd Jake Diekman. He's your other lefty, and I know they have the Peralta kid who just came up. You can't have your main lefty, and I know Garrett Crochet is on the precipice of coming back, but Aaron Bummer signed for still years from here. You have to find a way to have Aaron Bummer to throw up some zeros up there more consistently, because this feast or famine is not it for the White Sox. And I see people in the comments wanting to DFA him. I mean, when he's right, and he's inducing those ground balls, and he's looking like the guy that we paid the extension for. It was a smart deal. I don't think anybody as a White Sox fan thought that Rick Hahn was doing something bad when he signed Aaron Bummer to a longer extension. I was agreeing with it. I don't know what's going on with him. It would be better if I knew that if he was hurt or something like that, but his velocity looks good. His pitches are fine, but he just gets crushed sometimes when he comes in games. And then other times, like you're talking about the Twins, he looks like a world beater. I don't know. Maybe it's mental.
Vinny, Herb brought up Jake Diekman. They DFA'd him, ate his money. Melissa brings up Aaron Bummer's contract. I don't know if they would have to eat the full of this year, but that's at 3.75. You combine that with next year, $9.25 million left guaranteed for Aaron Bummer. Is there a world where they cut more bait and eat more cash to, let Jake Diekman, Aaron Bummer, Leary Garcia, Dallas Keuchel, etc. go?
Yeah, as I've said before, that's an awful lot of money to be paying people to not play for you. And at some point, you've got to say there's a better chance that this guy, whoever that might be, is going to figure things out or is worth pouring the resources in from a coaching standpoint than it is just saying we're better off without him. That being said, the performance, obviously the results have been horrible, and I'm sure Aaron would be the first person to tell you that. Aaron's a younger guy. Aaron's a guy who's had success with this organization. They know what he can do. I don't see that happening, because here's the thing, too. This team is not playing well. Over the course of this season, this team has not played well. You're just going to DFA everybody that doesn't play well? Because then you're not going to have any players left. Then you're just going to be the Charlotte Knights. And I'm sure there's a lot of frustrated fans out there that would go, oh, well, then let them be the Charlotte Knights. They'll be better than what this is. And who knows? Maybe you're right. But you're not going to throw a AAA roster out on a Major League Baseball field. There are guys on this team, Aaron Bummer is one of them, who have had a good deal of success at the major league level. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Aaron Bummer is going to get vastly better over the course of this season, but that is a possibility. Right now, though, those results are just horrendous. But there's a lot of people in that bullpen that fall into that category. That ERA is way, way up there when it comes to the bullpen. I mean, for the longest time, it was right up there with the A's as being one of the 2 worst in baseball. Not sure what the last few days have meant for that. Surely it's going to go up again after tonight.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, too. Everybody's, for the longest time, people were in love with Jimmy Lambert. Jimmy Lambert's ERA is over 6 at this point. Jimmy Lambert comes in and walks the first batter he faces tonight in what becomes mop-up duty and then gives up a bases-clearing double. I mean, so you've gotten to the point where, we were talking about it a few weeks ago. Who does Pedro Grifol go to? He's got to keep going to these guys because there are no other guys. Yeah, Hendricks is coming back. Yeah, Crochet's coming back. And, that those 2 returns might help them trim some of this fat. And maybe a guy like Aaron Bummer, whether it's Aaron Bummer or somebody else in this bullpen, gets DFA'd because, hey, Hendricks and Crochet are back. And there is now there are now people who you can pitch. You know what I mean? You're not just DFAing somebody because they're not getting the job done. There are guys who you know or you have better confidence will get the job done. But yeah, right now it's not a good scene out there in that bullpen. These are proven arms, but right now, through a month and change of the season, those ERAs are through the roof for the vast majority of the guys out there.
You brought up the team bullpen, and the White Sox team bullpen ERA is not 3.29. What? No, it's not. It's over 6 because they just added 5 earned runs today.
That's poor. That's very
6.15. I was trying to get now the updated one. It's not
it was
only
6.15
poor
coming into today.
Yeah, it was 6.15 coming into today.
And they gave up 5 runs in an inning.
5 and 3 innings total too.
Oh, 3 innings total.
So it's I think 123 innings pitched this year, 45 earned runs allowed. I could be wrong on those numbers. I got to do some quick math, but you're right. It's still second worst in baseball, just behind Oakland, who's at plus or 670. But I wanted to do the and hey, shout out to Lawrence Holmes, 25 years at 670 to score. I want to now wonder if the White Sox have the worst bullpen ERA, worse than the A's, because
they might right now.
Yeah,
is what you're saying.
Yeah. So
now,
other than do
of
some
course,
quick
it's
math.
the A's. They might have seen what the White Sox did and say, "Hold my beer" tonight. But it's not good. And listen, I think Pedro Grifol would tell you that he's got to keep sending those guys out there because it's the only way you can get them right. If you're just going to hold on to these guys and only use them when there's no danger, that opportunity does not come around very often. Dylan Cease loaded the bases tonight. Someone needed to be sent out there to try and get out of it, to minimize the damage. Aaron Bummer could have had an inning where he lets a ground ball get through and a run scores, gives up a fly ball, and it's a sacrifice fly, and we'd be sitting here talking about a productive inning, even if they end up losing the game because of those runs that get scored. But to go out there and pour gasoline on the fire, basically, because you can't get the job done right now, I can assure you that's what's going through his mind, and he's just as upset, if not vastly more upset about it than everybody in the comments right now.
622 now. Is there? Wait, no, it's actually not 622. I keep doing my math wrong. It's 87 earned runs. Okay, so it's actually worse than that. Their ERA bullpen ERA is 6.37.
It's not good.
No, it's horrible. Yeah. Second worst in baseball. Just
the Oakland Athletics in 2 2/3 gave up only 2 earned runs today. Their bullpen.
Only 2 runs. Only 2 earned runs. All right.
Only 2 earned
runs. The White Sox don't have the worst yet.
What do I call them, Herb? Special bad. Herb's muted.
To be compared with the A's is never a good thing, ever, in this realm of baseball. So, yes, it is that bad, White Sox fans, that we're not good in the bullpen, which is going to be our strength. Well, it's supposed to be our strength. I know when we get Liam Hendriks, things could be better, but for the time being, this bullpen, I don't know if Vinny, you were the one who were saying that it causes you the most stress out of the starting pitchers, the bullpen, or the hitters, or was that Sean? I said the starters, and now I'm thinking, man, these bullpen guys, 10 ERA for Aaron Bummer, almost a 7 ERA for Jimmy Lambert. Who you turn to? You got to turn to Keenan Middleton and Groot Santos, which people you weren't counting on at the start of the year. Tells you the volume
every day. Nor can you count on them to keep doing what they've been doing too.
Gregory Santos, though, has the 13th best slider in baseball.
And maybe they found something there, and that's good for them. And listen, Middleton's done it before. He's been in the major leagues before. He's no stranger to this. So, hey, maybe they stumble upon 2 guys there that can be this for the course of the entire season. But just if you're going to have the same opinion that, Kendall Graveman's ERA is going to go down over the course of the whole season, Joe Kelly's going to be better over the course of the whole season, you've got to play both sides of that coin and say, well, maybe the early success from guys like Santos and Middleton, who are less proven than the 2 guys that I mentioned, who are among the more proven relievers in baseball, you have to have that idea that this might not last either.
Yeah, and 2, someone was asking about Hendricks. He has now pitched 2 games in Charlotte, and I think the plan was 3 to 4?
4 to 5.
4 to 5. Yeah. 4 to 5. So we will possibly see Liam soonish. Charlotte takes action tomorrow. They'll be in Charlotte against Durham, and we'll see Yoel Moncada and maybe even Liam Hendricks in that game. No Moncada yet. That was the update from Daryl Van Schouwen in KC, so we're not sure if that will be the next series when Moncada's timeline is back. I do want to go to Graveman, though. Bases are loaded. They have Bummer that come in with no outs. They end up using Graveman in the 8th today in a 12-5 game. Do you guys find that bizarre? I think to the first game against Tampa Bay, when they came back to Chicago and played that 4-game series, it was that blowout. Dylan Cease started, and they're throwing Kelly, they're throwing Graveman, they're throwing Lopez in the 7th, 8th, and 9th. And then the next game is a game that they can be competitive in and possibly win. And Graveman comes in and gives up that home run in the 9th, I think, to make it 3-2, and they lose that game. So what do we make of him not possibly going to Graveman sooner? Like, when the bases are loaded like that in a tight situation, in a tie game, would you not want one of your best relievers in that situation?
Again,
or is that Aaron Bummer, or supposed to be Aaron Bummer?
I think it was probably supposed to be Aaron Bummer. I think that the way that Pedro Grifol manages a bullpen is something that fans are going to have to get used to. He does not manage based on these are my best guys, I'm going to rank them 1 through 6 or whatever. I think he says, I'm going to identify this part of the batting order that I want this guy to come in at, and who cares what inning it is, or who cares what the leverage is almost. Now, again, I think that we've said this before too. That's easy to then get entirely blown up when somebody doesn't get the job done. And I think you can look at Cease as starting that tonight, right? Cease doesn't get the job done for 3 hitters in a row. Now, probably all of a sudden, what he had planned to do with Bummer is a little out of whack from what he wanted to happen at the start of the inning. And then when Bummer doesn't get the job done, what he wants to do from there on out is completely out of whack because the entire batting order has come around again. So I don't think that the way that he manages the bullpen really hinges on those guys getting those outs. He talks about pockets of the lineup. I'm not saying he expects a 1-2-3 inning every time out there, but how far do you stretch that past a certain number of batters when the matchup is still in the favor of the pitcher that you've called on? So I think he went to Bummer completely on purpose. Those are the matchups he wanted, but then Bummer comes in and can't close the door, can't get the job done.
I know I went to Bummer because upcoming was Mike Massey, which you said he does have reverse splits. He hits lefties better than he does righties. He's not hitting anybody. He's got a sub-200 ERA. That's Brother Rice for you, right, Sean? Sorry about that. JBJ was the next guy, so another lefty, and then, of course, the top of the order with Bobby Witt Jr. So I understand why I went to Bummer there. Probably it was a good move. And he needed to get Kendall Graveman working because Kendall hasn't pitched. I believe the last time he pitched was Thursday versus the Twins on a back-to-back. So I think he pitched Wednesday and Thursday and didn't pitch the whole Cincinnati series. So that looked like, to me, just getting in work for Kendall Graveman because he hadn't been used in a while. But, yeah, like you said, you have to, as the manager and the analytics department and the people who are helping Pedro manage this game, tell him, hey, Mike Massey, Dylan's pretty much shut him down this whole game because Mike Massey doesn't see righties too tough. Maybe we put Kendall Graveman in this situation versus the 8, 9, and 1 hitters because he's the actual better pitcher right now instead of handedness. I know Pedro's his rookie year, so he has to learn these things and get through that stubbornness and just go to the better pitcher instead of the handedness on the mound.
Thing here, we'll move to Eloy. This is from Daryl Van Schouwen from Pedro Grifol. Pre-game today, Eloy being out allows him to rest his legs during this time he's recovering from his appendectomy. Wants him to place him right field with Berger at DH. That is the plan when Eloy Jimenez eventually returns from his appendectomy. I had the same reaction to Amir Garrett when I heard that and read that.
Really? Because we've talked about this before. We've talked about both those things before. We heard it on, I believe it was the last homestand. The day after the Robert, kerfuffle with him getting benched. We heard Pedro Grifol say Eloy's legs are not 100%. And he told us that, and we're informed of that, and so we can make the decision to hit him as the DH, but not expect him necessarily to get down the line with the greatest of ease or move along the base paths. And I think it was evident in watching him run that was the case. This is a guy who had a tweaked hammy earlier in the year, but maybe the White Sox were able to cover it up with the fact that he was DHing the vast majority of the time. We've seen him in right field. Didn't look like he had a ton of problems moving when he was out there, but again, few and far between. It's only been twice that he's played out there. Eloy, obviously, was not at 100%, and it sounds like this 4 to 6 weeks off that he's going to get to recover from a very, serious medical thing that could happen to anybody is going to have the quote-unquote silver lining of allowing him to maybe get closer to 100% with those legs. And we've talked about Eloy being in right field in terms of Jake Burger before, too. Jake Burger, how are you going to keep him in the lineup? Because you're not going to move Yoan Moncada off of third base. So Jake Burger's most logical spot once Moncada is healthy is to play as the designated hitter. How do you do that? Well, you put Eloy Jimenez in right field. So this is something that we've discussed before. I don't think it should surprise anybody. Now, is it a good course of action? We'll find out. I think it's probably the best course of action from an offensive standpoint, but the more pressing point in this whole conversation is, okay, when is this going to happen? Because we think that we're told that Eloy is expected to miss a month to a month and a half. Jake Burger's on the aisle, and we have no idea what his timeline is going to be. So when are these guys going to be healthy again in which they can be deployed in this fashion? That's what we need to find out.
Will Yoan Moncada even be healthy when Jake Burger comes off the IL? Hopefully he will be, but maybe Jake Burger's playing third base. We don't even have to have this discussion. I mean, Herb, I don't know what your reaction was, but more of the same from Pedro, so I guess he's not changing his tune.
Yeah, I think it's better if the White Sox just, have a best lineup out there. We just talked about the bullpen and how bad they've been, the starting lineup, how bad, or starting pitchers, how bad they've been. Hell, put the best 9 hitters out there and go how you can, because it doesn't work either other way. So let's just win the games 10-8, because this is just frustrating after a time, because I told you, Sean, was it 2 weeks ago? Once somebody comes back, somebody has to leave. It's just a cursed team, and I wish it wasn't, because we see it happen all the time. And Eloy's thing just popped out of nowhere, like any appendectomy does. It's tough. And if he comes back, and the best place to put him to get maximized offense is to have him in right field, have Jake Burger a designated hitter, and have all the rest of the people, hopefully they're healthy, at their designated positions, I'm fine with it. I'm throwing up my hands. I don't care anymore. Let Eloy play the outfield, because eventually he'll be hurt for some other reason. It's just not working right now. It's just pissing me off every time I see a White Sox go on the IL, and it's not their fault. I just want to make sure you guys know that it's not their fault. But as a fan, it hurts to see we bringing up those numbers yesterday, a couple days ago, with the 5 players when I wasn't there. When you're talking about what they played, like 25 games together, and the core 5, that's garbage. And when they do play together, they're got like a 600 winning percentage. That's the frustrating part. That the talent's there when they do play together. Let's just get to the point where they're playing together. I don't care anymore if Eloy's in the outfield. I'm not going to nitpick that anymore. I don't care.
And the weird thing about this entire conversation, it's, boy, they need to make room for Burger. They need to make room for Burger. You know who's hitting really well this year? Gavin Sheets.
Yeah. Right.
No one's saying got to make room for Gavin Sheets, but
that was a great
he's had a really nice offensive season.
Awesome at bat.
The Cranky one?
Yes, where he hit the slider finally for the home run. He murdered it.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he had that one where, he pulled the curveball, I think, over the foul pole and 500 feet.
After the Vaughn double.
I forgot he hit a homer today. I'm sorry.
After the Vaughn double that scored the 2 runs that put him up 3-1, every batter was retired except Gavin Sheets. Gavin Sheets walked, then 8 straight outs, and then Gavin Sheets hit a home run.
Oh, my God. But the thing is, too, with this conversation, the lineup that you talked about, it doesn't include Jake Burger. It's Eloy Jimenez, Yasmani Grandal, Tim Anderson, Moncada, and Luis Robert Jr. And they're 31-15 with those 5 in the lineup. 46 games by my count. I've seen 45, but they've played 25 of those games in 2020 and then 20 since 2021. Jake Berger isn't in there, and Eloy Jimenez, and we talked about this yesterday. They played 2 games, 2 in 2022 with those 5.
That's insane.
We saw Jake Berger. We saw him in 2021. Like, Eloy Jimenez is what's important, and we've seen this. Like, you're just waiting for a train that's never going to come with Eloy Jimenez being an outfielder. And I understand he's only played there twice this year, and maybe it doesn't need to be an every series thing where we see Eloy out there, but he's already dealing with sore legs. It's not even game 40, and he's played twice in the outfield.
Well, maybe it's very possible that his body will prevent him from this plan ever being enacted.
I mean, now once he comes back, he'll play less than 50% of the games that the White Sox have played in since 2020. I think right now we just saw the stat; it was 52% of the games since 2020. That's definitely going to be under 50% when he comes back.
But here's the thing: they sent down Oscar Colas, so whether it's Eloy Jimenez or Gavin Sheets, they've committed to basically pulling back on that whole we got to improve defensively in the outfield thing. They had done such a great job in doing it by getting Benintendi and Colas, and Colas wasn't perfect out there, but in sending Colas down, they're basically like, all right, well, I guess Gavin Sheets again, or all right, I guess Eloy Jimenez again. Like, at this point, don't worry about, and I know what you're talking about, and Herb, what you're talking about is Eloy being in the outfield and the injury risk that it presents. But if you're just concerned about the defense being bad, well, if you get your wish and Eloy gets to play DH every day, then it's Gavin Sheets out there in right field, who is, again, fine, but has made some plays this year that have not been very good at all. So
yeah, I mean, it's less about the defense. It's just more about, like, again, you're just going to throw him out there, and he plays 1 game in right field, and as Herb says, it's unlucky. Like, I don't want to wish that on anybody. I'm not trying to manifest that, but it's just like he hasn't really been able to prove himself to stay healthy.
And I'll say this too about Berger. Is Berger going to be the guy who you need to crowbar into the lineup after he sits out with an oblique injury? We'll see.
Jake Berger's, the second fastest player on the team? He can't play right field. I mean, shit. I'm not against putting him out there.
All right, well then.
Why not? He hasn't. I mean, it'll be the same thing. I would rather have Eloy
exactly.
out there.
I mean, and Jake Berger,
it'll be the same thing. He hasn't played right field before.
So I'm saying it'll be the same thing.
Eloy's played 2 games in his career in right field.
He played in the minor leagues.
In single A. And then from double A to triple A. No, I know.
I'm not saying yesterday. I'm just saying.
He's pretty green out there.
Compared to Jake Berger.
He's green as southpaw.
Hey, I think the outfield, it's not too much different left than right field. It's not that much of a huge swing where Eloy can't understand how to do right field. Jake Berger is brand new to the outfield if he's put out there. No, I'm not good with that.
He's not even brand new to it, Herb. He doesn't play it.
No, yeah. And,
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and of course, it's of course no way, but I honestly just like this team frustrates me.
Herb,
so,
Sean brought up Southpaw. Did you see the Sasquatch guy out there today?
I love it.
I missed him.
He's out. He walks around.
It's just Bigfoot.
So it's a specific thing they do for Vinny Pasquantino, whose apparently nickname is the Pass Squatch. Which wasn't there one that was amazing and he vetoed it or something?
Yeah,
the Italian
Nightmare.
That's incredible. Pass Squatch is nowhere near as good as that. But so whenever he gets a hit, they bring they got a guy in the beef jerky Sasquatch mascot costume who appears through a door at the Royals Hall of Fame and does like a quick lap and then goes back behind the door.
That's real cool. I did not see him. I was checking out the concourse out there in center field. Well, I think Sean took that picture, and so I did not see it. But I did see Rick Hahn on that same concourse. I said, "What's up?" I just tipped the cap and said what's up to him.
Oh, look at you. You
didn't
chat him up?
No, he was walking past me. No, it was nothing to say. Courtney said what's up to him.
Well, hey, if you bug him next time, bug him, maybe film something for TikTok. You just be like, hey, Rick, how you feeling after 37
Hey, my mom said if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. So that's what I was following.
To their face.
Yeah, to their face.
Exactly.
Hey, Rick, because I've been sitting right here when you've said some things that weren't very nice.
Telling the truth.
Hey, Rick, you're a bad GM. Get out of here. Good seeing, can't see though.
And hey, he knows about Teflon Han. this Sasquatch guy, like people were being like, oh, poor guy, especially in the Kansas City Heat. He's making a paycheck, you know. I mean, I was for an unnamed chicken company. I wore a cow suit in 100-degree weather. I
wonder who it is.
I was at the Ogilvy train station in a cow suit in 100-degree weather.
Inside.
Yeah,
this person is not inside.
No, but inside. I mean, have you ever been in Ogilvy train station on a hot day?
Yeah,
it's
many times.
It's like an oven.
Yeah, but have you ever been to Kansas City, Missouri in the summer?
Have you ever?
Because it's worse. It's like 5 ovens.
We could go to Ogilvy, and I know people who can get the cow costume, and you could see.
It was only 85 today, and it was baking. And in the sun, where the Royals Hall of Fame is, it was in the sun pretty much a whole night. I'm sure that dude had heat stroke tonight.
It's May. Wait until August when it's 100 degrees 9 days in a row.
Vinny, are you saying that because you know what it's like being in a costume?
Yeah, I've got. Yeah, thanks, Steven. Sean wasn't jumping on it, so Steven had to have the running bit go.
At Royals, is that their Twitter? At Royals, If there's a next 100-degree day, fly me out. Give me a paycheck. I'll be Sasquatch for a day. All right?
You'll be Pasquatch.
That's going to do it for the CHGO White Sox postgame. We are at Wellington Castillo Lakes, so I would appreciate if we got a little bit higher. Again, Nick Swisher is always the goal at least. We got about 60 people watching, so we'd appreciate that. Thumbs up. Thank you, everybody, for hanging out with us. Thank you, Stephen Nicholas, for producing the show. This is Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That is Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader out in Kansas City. So make sure you follow him to see what Herb's doing. Maybe he finds Rick Hahn and takes a picture with him on the concourse.
Herb, tomorrow, your recommendation is BB's Lawnside Barbecue in Kansas City, Missouri.
Ooh.
BB's Lawnside Barbecue. I will mark it down. We're actually going to go to the Negro League Museum, but Arthur Bryant's is right there. So if we can get a second meal in, which I'm not opposed to, I'll do that one too.
Go off the beaten path. Arthur Bryant. Everybody goes to Arthur Bryant's. Go try something a little new.
All right.
Tell Bob Kendrick what up.
Write it down for me. Send me a text because I'll forget about that.
I'll text you.
Thank you.
Tell
sir.
Bob Kendrick what up. I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. We will talk to you tomorrow, and we're not going to leave with Joe Creedy likes. Again, don't be stingy. We'd appreciate the like. The Blackhawks just got the #1 overall pick. We'll talk to you tomorrow for a pregame at about 6 o'clock, and then we'll have a postgame as well. Royals v. White Sox, Giolito versus Lyles. We'll talk to you then. Go Sox.